You will never become productive. Productivity cannot be a part of your identity. And I know this from watching slackliners and ballerinas. Now, this is gonna make sense in a second. I've always been fascinated by the stability of more experienced slackliners. They have something that collectively we think we need to be productive: perfect balance. As a content creator, I used to think that productivity was this special energy that I'd embody when everything lined up. You know, the perfect video topic, the right music, enough focus, and bam, productivity, right? But if you take a look at a slackliner, their equilibrium is just a constant shifting of their weight. They don't have perfect balance because they continuously adapt. And it's the same with a ballerina dancing on point. You know, she's always moving. Now, this made me realize that there is no such thing as perfect equilibrium, and it also applies to productivity. Productivity is a constant balancing act of small adjustments. Those little movements might seem tiny on their own, but they come together to keep you on track. So today, I'll show you some tools that have helped me manage this balancing act. And don't worry, I'm cheap, so they're all free. Productivity isn't just one action. It's a combination of behavior, environment, and activities that fit together into a working, functioning system. And I'm not talking about all those rituals you do before starting work. I mean the tools and habits that help create the right internal and external conditions. In my 20s, I went to medical school. I quit. I went to film school. Quit that as well. I worked in television, and then I got a bit famous as a singer in Romania, so it doesn't count. I then started directing music videos and switched to commercials. I worked my ass off and subsequently set myself up for a burnout. I burned. I spent the first half of my 30s running away from my problems, then getting sober and rebuilding my life. Now I am in my late 30s, the latest one, and I'm more productive and happier in my creative output than ever before. But it didn't magically happen. I built systems. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. When I got sober, I was really focused and determined to get back on track, but I struggled to find a good balance. I did the best I possibly could, but I still had days when I went to bed exhausted and unhappy. Even though I worked a lot, I didn't seem to get much done. Why was I so ineffective? Our brains can't truly multitask. Instead, we switch focus from one task to another. Now, our brains categorize tasks differently than we do, so what feels like a simple switch can be quite disruptive. For example, this morning when I first sat down to edit this script, my brain took a couple of minutes to power up. But once I got going, I was in the zone, having fun. Now here's where the problem begins, and I'm sure you can relate. 10 minutes into my focused session, I got a WhatsApp notification. Now, my phone has been on silent since 2012, but I forgot to log off the desktop app. And as I did that, I just happened to see that your mom had texted me, probably about last night. But that very brief interruption was the context switch. To avoid this, sure, you can turn off notifications, but what about the times when you distract yourself? I found a few tools to help me keep from doing that. To understand how and why they work, you first have to understand the concept of habit stacking. The first thing I do when I wake up is brush my teeth with my left hand. I then look in the mirror and tell myself, I love you 10 times in a row. That might sound cheesy, and it kinda is, but it's actually hardcore neuroscience.
It's science, bitch!
Next, I wash my face and do my morning skincare. This doesn't just happen. After that, I go into the kitchen, I make myself a cup of coffee, and that's how I start my day. These 4 actions are a good example of habit stacking, a concept that James Clear introduced in his book Atomic Habits. It simply means linking new habits to existing ones. So instead of trying to start a new habit from scratch, you just stack it on top of an action that you already do. This makes it easier to stick to because you're not adding a whole new thing, you're just connecting it to something that's already a part of your day. So brushing my teeth is a trigger for the affirmations, which is a trigger for skincare, and that in turn triggers the start of my day by making coffee. This is my morning stack. And what about my afternoon snack? Let's say I want to add something new to that stack, which I've actually been trying to do lately with a supplement called Magic Mind. As I wait for the coffee to heat up, I get it out of the fridge, I shake it and drink it. It tastes great. So I've stacked it with the coffee making. If I do this frequently enough, it'll become a habit that I just do and I don't have to think about. Now, with this particular one, I've been doing it for about 10 days and it is starting to stick, but I did forget about it on the third day because I was distracted. I get distracted every day. I'm basically Michelle Yeoh trying to do everything everywhere all at once and being shocked that I can't, and then getting anxious. Magic Mind is a mental performance shot that boosts mood, motivation, and focus, while also helping reduce anxiety and stress, and it's packed with nootropics, adaptogens, and vitamins. Now, I may be extremely attractive, but hot people can also be smart. I know what vitamins are, but I had to Google most of the other ingredients, and I found out that they are all doctor validated and third-party tested. This video isn't sponsored by Magic Mind. Not yet. I'm on theme. But they did send me a 2-week pack to test it out before we decide to work together or not. And honestly, I felt nothing for the first few days. And they actually say on the website that it's not a quick fix. You know, like having you didn't fix your parents' marriage. But around day 7, I checked my time tracking app, which we'll talk about later, and I realized that I had logged way more hours than usual. I even think I slept better. I'm on day 12 now, and I already ordered myself a second batch. They did give me a discount code that gets you 48% off your first subscription, and you know I'm cheap. I already used it. Just go to magicmind.com/sobriety20. Do it now because it's only valid for the next 10 days, and there's a 100-day money-back guarantee if it's not for you. You just puke it up and send it back. Just kidding, don't do that, I'm gross.
Why would you say that?
Usually these kinds of drinks taste too earthy for me, but I actually like this one as a shot. You can mix it with ice and oat milk or nut milk. But I didn't even bother because this tastes good on its own.
If it ain't broke, don't milk it.
Since it's not a coffee replacement but works with coffee, Magic Mind fits perfectly into my morning habit stack. And in general, productivity tools are way more effective when integrated into habit stacks. There are so many out there which you probably don't need. You just have to figure out which ones work for you and how to create your own unique stacks. By the end of this video, you'll have a better idea of how to do that, but first, here's what we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna tell you about the tools I use to organize my tasks and projects, and no, there's no time blocking involved, doesn't work for me. I'm then gonna show you some tools that I use for time management, again, no time blocking. I also have tools for planning, and lastly, I'm gonna tell you about 2 really important tools that aren't apps or calendars, but give you the power to adapt to any situation. Humans function better in a structured environment because our brains love familiarity, and this is why routine brings freedom. If you know, you know, and if you don't, as one of my Nigerian friends would say, wait till you are 36 and your idea of a fun Saturday is using a new mop for the first time. That is not cultural appropriation, that's just my default accent. Needless to say, task and project management are crucial to building a functioning routine. If you know what you should be doing at any given moment in advance, you don't have to constantly figure it out. After 2 years of trying different tools like Notion and TickTick and Monday.com, a friend introduced me to Trello, which uses a Kanban board system. It visually breaks down tasks into columns like to do, in progress, and done. Each task is a card that you move from left to right as you progress. A board can be as simple or as complex as you want. Trello revolutionized my workflow because it's the only project management tool that I've stuck with for more than 3 months, and it's been over a year now. This video is not sponsored by Trello. Not yet. I just love it. The first thing I do when I turn on my computer is go to my Trello board and check what I'm doing on that day. I then add tasks if I need to. That's the first habit in my work habit stack, and it's the trigger for the next one. Time tracking might feel like an inconvenience at first, but it has an unexpected mental health benefit. I struggle every day with feeling that I'm not enough or that I haven't done enough. Tracking my hours gives me cold, hard evidence of what I accomplish in a day. And this helps me be kinder to myself and easier for me to address that part of me that feels insufficient. And I say to it, shut up, bitch. I did do a lot today. I have the receipts. Seeing that I've worked a solid 8 hours allows me to genuinely switch off at the end of the day. Now, I've been freelancing for 15 years and I haven't been able to do this until I started time tracking. I use Toggl. It's a really simple app. You create projects, you track your activities, and if you forget, you can simply go back and manually enter them. The paid version even integrates with Trello, or it can log how much time you spend in Adobe Premiere, which is great for client work, but I use the free version and it's enough. Again, this video is not sponsored by Toggl. Not yet. I just love it and use it. If you find tracking every hour tedious and boring, then maybe
maybe a reverse to-do list can help.
A couple of years ago, I had a business coach who showed me how to do this, and it's kind of stuck for a while. So at the end of the day, simply write down the main things you did. This makes them real to your brain, and it stops you from going into the negative self-talk. When it comes to planning, I need to see everything everywhere all at once for it to make sense to me. If I don't have the big picture, I get lost in details. And for that, I've been using Miro, which is basically a whiteboard you can put everything on and invite people to collaborate. However, I recently discovered Milanote, which is more geared towards video production. So it's basically the same thing as Miro. I just find it slightly more useful for my field of work, but both are great and really easy to use.
For day-to-day scheduling, I just use Google Calendar.
It's simple, it connects to Gmail, and it does exactly what I need. Remember, these tools only help if you actually use them, which is also true for the last two things I'm going to talk about, both of which have improved my focus and productivity more than anything else. The first one is know thyself, self-knowledge. On an esoteric level, this means figuring out who you are, what you stand for, what you desire, because baby, I started medical school 3 times and I quit 3 times because who I am is not a doctor. That's who my parents wanted me to be. And what I desire is to be able to find joy in everything I do, but as far away from other people's bodily fluids as possible. By default, most of my decisions are guided by this knowledge. It's way easier to focus and be productive when you love what you're doing. So this is a big one, and we are constantly evolving, so it's gonna change. Now, on a practical level, know thyself means how does your brain function? What time of the day is best for you to focus? Are there places that you can focus better than others? Do you always have to have socks on when you work, even in the summer? No, just me. Fuck off. Me, for example, I have the best focus if I wake up around 4 a.m. I know it's crazy, I only do it a couple times a week, but my brain is so in the zone that by 10 a.m. I'm almost done with all the work I had for the day. For you, it could be in the evening or late at night. Whatever it is, try to find a way to make it work for you, if you can. And finally, my top productivity hack is a technique that I turn to when I'm having particularly unfocused days. I use this. It's a timer. It's got 4 sides with different times, 30, 60, 5, 10. And I like it because you don't have to set anything. You just like put it down on the side that you want. You don't need something like this. You can just use your phone. I like this because it's cute. The idea is that when I can't bring myself to begin a task, cleaning the house, for example, I put the timer on 10 minutes and I try to see how much I can get done in that period. Now, this works for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's not a task anymore, it's a game. And number 2, there's a limit to how much time you'll be spending on the task, so it's easier for your brain to get started because it can see the finish line. It's a very practical way of breaking the task down into manageable pieces, which is something I was never able to do until I started using this technique. Almost every time, this hack tricks me into completing the task, because by the time the timer starts beeping, I'm already in a good flow and I'm like, shut up, bitch, I'm busy. As I mentioned earlier, individually, none of these tools will have a giant impact on the way you work, but by stacking up the ones that work for you and making adjustments to your systems, I guarantee that you will see positive results. But it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort, and you have to want it. So I encourage you to experiment. What works for me doesn't necessarily work for everyone, but it is a good place to start if you're starting. My current systems are not my starting point. I've made multiple changes along the years, and I'll probably keep tweaking things because it's a balancing act, you know? It's progress, not perfection. Let me know how it's going in the comments, and if you need a little extra energy during the day, don't forget you have a great discount on Magic Mind. Link in the description.